Welcome back to another video with the Turbo V6 Accord. So far with this vehicle, we've redone the interior, we've redone the suspension, the wheels, the brakes, and we even redid the engine and added a custom turbo kit with a Pulsar turbo. But you know what? We haven't really touched the exterior. All we did was give it a pretty bad detail at the beginning and tinted the windows. Woohoo! In this video, that all changes. So let me show you everything we have. Firstly, we have a projector lens conversion. The fun part is that we have to open up our headlights and make this work. We have to mount it, we have to wire it up, lots of interesting stuff. We got new fog lights. We've got window visors for the windows right here. But let me show you the big stuff. It's in the back. Bumpers, hood. The Accord's getting a full refresh. Cause see, there's really three major things wrong with the exterior of this car. It's the hood, the front bumper, and the rear bumper. The hood is covered in huge rock chips. I don't know what rocks this person was driving through before I owned it, but huge rock chips and dings all throughout the hood. The front bumper, same thing. Rock chips all over the front lip, and then there's a couple of holes in the side. Don't know what that's about, but they, I think, tried to mount it with a screw. And then the rear bumper clearly was repainted once and was not repainted properly. It's chipping, and it's also had some sort of accident in it. And so those three things are the only thing that's really holding this car back from looking awesome. The rest of the body, straight and pretty clean. It definitely needs a good polish. We're gonna do that too. But those three body parts are actually damaged. And instead of trying to body work them and fix them, I mean, the front bumper is totally cracked in half here, being held together with zip ties. I decided to replace them. And I got all those parts from carparts.com. We'll talk about them more in a little bit, but let me show you some other cool stuff. Oh, ladies and gents. Ooh, baby. This is a nice spray gun right here from Eastwood. You know what this means? We're finally going to use the paint booth for painting. We're gonna paint all these things. Obviously, I mean, we have to. They're just primered right now. But it's an exciting moment. We haven't done any painting or bodywork on the channel since pretty much like the RX-7. That was so long ago. So Eastwood sent me out the spray gun and all of this paint. We've got primer. We have base coat already color matched, ready to go, and we have some nice show clear. So we're gonna paint the hood, the front bumpers, and other parts of the car that are damaged. We're gonna finally test out the paint booth. We have to do some things in here to get it ready. Plus, we're gonna do all this lighting stuff. So without further ado, let's get started. The first thing we have to do before doing anything else, get this thing on the lift and get it disassembled. We need to get the front bumper, the rear bumper, and the headlights and the hood off. Pretty heavy. Oh, really? Damn it. So we got the rear bumper off, front bumper off, and hood off. There is one last thing we have to remove, and that is the passenger side skirt, because it's a little holy. So we got all of the parts off, but we still have more work to do. We have to separate the good parts from the bad parts. So we gotta remove the rear lip and the front lip, gotta remove the grill. I think that's actually it. Oh, and the fog lights. Ah. So these are all of our good parts off the old bumpers and such. We got the old bumpers and such right there, and then we got the new stuff in the paint booth. Now, the next thing I want to go ahead and do is pretty much test fit everything and put all like lips and stuff on them. Obviously, especially like for this front bumper, we're gonna have to cut out the fog light holes. Gonna have to modify the grill. I think that is it. It looks like it's got all the other holes and stuff already in it. But I wanna do all that before we paint it, because it would suck to paint it and then, you know, scratch it and stuff while doing that. And then for the rear one, I know we need to trim around the exhaust tips and just test fit everything on the car. So let's do that next. So we've got the old bumper on the car for a second, just to measure how much exactly we got to cut out of the grill. Over here, we have 25 millimeters of clearance. In the center, we've got 40, and then on top, we've got 75. So first, I'm gonna cut out these vertical. It's so hard because it doesn't fit. I need a horizontal one. Try using a Sawzall. Bodywork for Sawzall, hell yeah, baby. We cut just the right amount around the grill, so that's nice. Looks a little bit more finished than the old bumper. Doesn't fit great up here, but I think once I have the tabs and stuff in play. So just let's make sure the fog lights and the grill fit, and then that one's ready to be prepped and painted. And so there we got our new bumper fully assembled, and everything fits great. It actually fits better than the old bumper, probably because that one was wrecked and cracked. So I guess that makes sense. But that reminds me, let me talk about these bumpers and carparts.com. Carparts.com is my go-to spot for OEM and close to OEM parts. They do have some aftermarket parts. For example, the adjustable control arms I have on the Accord are from carparts.com, but obviously they don't have like a turbo kit, all right, you know. But the awesome thing about parts from carparts.com, for one, they have a huge selection. Pretty much anything you could want for your car, they got it. Secondly, all the parts are super high quality. As you saw, the front bumper fit without any modification. And as you will see, neither of them required any body work, besides of course painting, but they weren't dented, scratched, etc. Thirdly, all their parts are super fair prices. Both the bumpers were only $60 each, and the hood was less than 200 bucks. And then lastly, all of their parts are guaranteed to fit. You plug in your car on their website or their awesome mobile app, then you can search the catalogs of parts, and if you buy something that says guaranteed to fit, well, it's guaranteed to fit. And if it doesn't, they have guaranteed hassle-free returns. And that's really why carparts.com is so awesome with their website, with their app, with their vehicle selector, with their vast assortment of parts, with their good prices. It just takes the hassle out of looking for parts. You don't have to price match, look around. You don't have to try to find different parts from different websites. It all works and it's all easy. And so huge thank you to carparts.com for sponsoring this video and sending out all the bumpers and the hood and the other parts. Check them out if you need any parts for your vehicle. I'll have a link in the description and up in the cards and up there. Let's continue working on these bumpers. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and take off all the accessories. That's ready to be prepped, and then we can work on the rear bumper. Cool, good enough. So with the bumpers ready to paint, it was time to tackle the factory lips. 40 minutes later, just the initial sanding is done. This reminded me how much I hate bodywork. It requires so much patience. But yeah, I just sanded the entire thing with 220 grit just to scuff it up. What we're gonna have to do with this one, since it's got so many rock chips, we're gonna have to do a layer of filler primer, probably sand that down, and then we might even have to do it again just to get it all smooth so you don't see the rock pits and stuff. And so, let's go ahead and do that. Since we're gonna be doing more bodywork to this thing after this, we're not gonna be using the epoxy primer that Eastwood sent us. We're gonna be using some filler primer. And for that, I just have a can. I know. I just don't feel like cleaning the gun over and over again, you know? Fan does a great job of getting the dust out of here. I'm gonna be making 2 new little dust extractors when we go to paint actually everything. Pretty much 5-gallon buckets with a fan pointing down to the thing of water. We'll also wet the floors when we go to actually paint everything and take out all the junk. Yet again, it's getting sanded, so it doesn't really matter. Looks like the paint laid nicely. I can definitely still see all the imperfections. Didn't fill that much, but that was a pretty light coat. So we're gonna do a heavier coat after this. So now before we high build primer the rear lip, we do have to do a little bit of extra body work because, well, I don't really know what happened, but as you can see, there are some chunks out of it. Now normally you just use some body filler on that. The problem is that this is a flexible part. So you can't use like Bondo because that'll crack. Well, it turns out there's plastic body filler. Flexible bottom bumper filler. Gonna take a small amount, make a little line across it, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna try to apply this. It works very well, actually. Holy cow, that's nice. The rear lip was almost good, but there was a couple of low spots, so we hit it with a layer of filler primer. We'll sand that down. Maybe have to do another layer. Now we gotta sand this bitch. So we sanded down all the filler primer. It works pretty well. As you can see, it's filling all of the little rock chips. Unfortunately, I can still feel it. So we're gonna do another layer, another sand, and then probably another layer after that, and it should be good. Time consuming, but it is satisfying. I will say, I got to a certain point, I was like, you know what? I kind of understand why people like this. It's dreary and just so time consuming, but it is satisfying. So now let's do another layer of filler primer. And now we sand it back down again. Then one last layer of paint. So this is straight after that last layer of filler primer. As you can see, I mean, maybe you can't see, perfectly smooth, no rock pits, so that was a huge success. Now we are gonna sand it one last time, but we're not sanding it to primer it again, we're sanding it to get it ready for the base coat. So we're gonna do 600 grit just to kind of smooth out the orange peel, get it nice and smooth. We wanna make sure not to go through the primer in any spot, just kind of smooth it out, get it ready for base coat. Well, and here we have our front lip, ready to go. Primed, sanded down to 600 grit. Buttery smooth, no orange peel, no nothing. Should hopefully work very nicely. I'm pretty proud of this. Is it gonna be perfect? No, but I mean, it is so much better than what it was before, so that's exciting. I'm just cleaning it with some Simple Green right now. I do have a proper paint prep wax and grease remover for all y'all haters of Simple Green. So now I'm gonna do the same thing to the rear lip since that's all painted and primed, and then we can move on to the bumpers and hopefully get a layer of primer on everything. I will not be primering these again. These are just good to go, but the other bumpers need some epoxy primer. Oh, it's so satisfying, I will say. Very satisfying. And we are done. At least with the bumpers and the lips. Now it's time to move on to the hood and then the side skirt. So I'm waiting to do some filler primer on this and get that perfect, but once that's done, everything's prepped. Front bumper, rear lip, front lip. Now what we have to do is prep the paint booth. So a couple of things we're gonna do. We're gonna first of all open these doors and then get the blow gun and just kind of try to get all the dust off everything and then sweep it out. Then we'll close the doors, put some plastic over that, over this, over that, get all the painting stuff ready. Then we'll heat it up, bring the parts in here, clean them all off, paint it. I think that's the plan. So here we have it, guys. The paint booth is all set up. We have the bumpers, the hood, the side skirt in here. Remember, the other two have already been primed, so we don't need to do that yet. I set up our little extra dust extractors. Some of you guys may have seen this on like TikTok or Instagram. It's pretty much a fan blowing into a bucket of water. Will it work? I don't know. I kind of tested it and it seems to kind of suck down, but there is a draft out the side. So you have to be careful not to put it next to something, I think. So that's why they're kind of in the center here. We have a filter up on our fan to catch most of the air. We have things plasticed off, things set up. I think we're pretty much ready to go. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and prep all this stuff. Now that the heater's off, it's not getting any contaminants in here, we can prep everything. For that, we have this Eastwood painting prep. And now would be a great moment to yet again thank Eastwood for making this video possible. The painting prep stuff, the paint itself, including the primer, the color match base coat, and the clear coat, and then also the paint gun itself. They provided it all, and I'm super grateful. If you're interested, check them out. They have all sorts of painting stuff, fabrication stuff, auto body stuff, you name it, they got it. And I got a discount code. All right, so first we're gonna use this stuff, Bulldog Adhesion Promoter. The whole reason why we're doing this with the bumpers, with priming them again, is so we can use this stuff. This will help it not chip, because these bumpers are notorious for chipping. That's what happened to the old one. So hopefully this helps. It helped on the Arc 7, so we're gonna do 2 quick layers of this and then do the primer. So we're gonna do the paint mixing out here. First thing is to actually mix both of these parts. I got these mixing cups online, pretty awesome. It's a 1-to-1 mixture, so you go to 1-to-1. Go, very nice. Keep it coming, keep it coming. That's one. And then we do the other one. And then we stir that up. I'd say that's adequately mixed. Much thinner now, sprayable now. And then we pour this into the gun. Now we Gucci. You're like half full. The other half will be here, waiting to be filled up. Yeah, that's what I didn't want you to do, but okay. I'm glad I got that. I was like, that's gonna be nice. The adhesion promoter is not quite dry, but let's go ahead and try this thing, shall we? Got my handy dandy box over here. Let's try this. Seems pretty good. Paint booth worked well. A little hazy in here, I probably shouldn't take this off yet, but the gun worked well too. The only thing is like, I don't know if it's right or wrong. So I think it worked well. Seems a little airy, or I don't know, it doesn't seem like it's spraying quite right, but that might just be me. But it did lay very nicely on all the pieces, so that's good. I can definitely see dust and everything, like a shit ton of dust. I just don't get it. Like, you know, you do so much to make sure there's no dust, and it's like, it's everywhere. Where does that shit come from? I don't know. But I'm gonna get out of here, let these things dry. All right, time for layer 2, an hour later. Should be good. So a lot has happened since that last clip. May not look like it, but a lot has happened. It's 5 days later. Unfortunately, what happened was it was just too dang cold. I happened to choose the coldest week, actually the second coldest week, because next week is gonna be the coldest week, but it was too cold. None of this primer would dry. Like, it would dry to the touch, but I could put fingerprints in it, and unfortunately I need to be able to sand this stuff to hopefully get some of the dust out of it, and I was not able to do that. I also had a funeral to attend out of town, so that was unfortunate, and I couldn't work. But we're back, here we are. Everything is dry enough as far as I can tell. It feels good, and we can continue. We have to sand all of this stuff now, because it's been too long. Plus, I want to try to get rid of some of the sand, the dust, the blemishes in it. So we're gonna block everything, scuff it up, and then we can do the base coat and the clear coat. Rear bumper is done. Hit it with red Scotch-Brite and the block to get rid of all the nubs. Then we did gray Scotch-Brite and then green Scotch-Brite. So it's nice and smooth. Some of the orange peel is gone. All of the little nubs are gone. And hopefully it's good. I'm gonna clean it off, put it in the back, and then do a little swap. The hood is done, so everything is done. And we can go ahead and proceed to getting everything set up in the booth and start actually prepping everything. Wasn't too bad. It didn't sand the best, but hopefully at least helped. The heater's still on, warming up the entire back area. While that does that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and wet the floor with some water and a squeegee, spread it out, and then we will tack rag everything, and we'll actually mix the paint, put it in the gun, and start spraying. I think that's the plan. So now it's time to mix this base coat and take a look at it. Pre-mixed from Eastwood, just came in the mail, all ready to go. Pretty much you give them your VIN or your paint code and they do all the hard work. This is also a 1-to-1 reduction, which is nice because we have a lot of it. So we have twice as much base coat as we did primer. It's black. Black, and then, oh yeah, you can kind of see that blue flake right as it dripped on my floor. Very nice. There. This is ready to spray. All of the lights. Bum, 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 bum. I think you can see the issue here. It's fisheyeing really, really bad. Even though I used the paint prep stuff, but I used a different brand. So now we have to wait for this to dry to resand and restart. I tried it on the bumper. It was much better, but it did still do it in a couple spots. And then all the other stuff, we're just gonna try the Eastwood paint prep stuff and hope that works. It's possible that having the heater running at the end there is what caused that, but I did the same thing with the primer and it didn't affect it. So I was like, okay, must be okay. But man, that was the most disappointing spray I've ever done. Well, I didn't turn the heater back on, and I used the Eastwood paint prep stuff instead of the Duplicolor paint prep stuff, and I decided to do a test spray on the hood. So since the hood worked with the Eastwood pre-prep stuff, I went ahead and sanded that back down, cleaned that. I just cleaned this. I think I can just get away with keeping on painting that, and I cleaned everything else up. So we're gonna give it another shot. Hopefully, no fish eyes.
Perfect, perfect, perfect.
All right, well, the base coat is done. You know, when it was wet, I was like, all right, this is terrible. And you know, it's still not great. You can see all the orange peel in it. But, you know, it's all right. It's all right. It's black. It's the right color. I'll give it that. Everything laid out pretty good. It dried much better. Everything's dry, which is nice. Definitely still a lot of junk in this paint, which sucks. I mean, do you see where we're painting? I guess this just isn't a professional paint booth. I didn't know that. I thought it was. Also, definitely used too aggressive of a sandpaper grit before putting the base coat on. So that was a bit of a mistake too, but oh well, it'll just match the rest of the scratched paint. So I mean, that's not, oh God, it's so bad. The only actual thing that we're gonna fix is this run right here. Can you see it? Oh, you can kind of saw it there for a second. Oh, there, gotcha. We're gonna have to wet sand that, and then we can clear everything. Fucking hell, man, it's heavy. I'll be honest, man. When I was looking at the paint when it was drying yesterday, I was pretty disappointed. And I just lost a lot of motivation because, man, painting's hard. It's like, even if you put a lot of effort in, which I have, you can always put more effort in. And also, I made just mistakes by using the wrong grits and stuff, but it's just kind of demotivating when you do all this work, try to make it good, even build a freaking paint booth in your shop, which obviously not a very good paint booth. But you do all that and it still just doesn't turn out very well. I was definitely disappointed, but after seeing it dry, I'm like, okay, you know, it actually does look a little bit better. I think the clear will really help. We'll see. I mean, it can't be worse than what it was before, right? Right? All right, I think that's probably about right there. I mean, I could do a little bit more, but I don't want to do too much and then actually go through the paint. So now it looks like this will be a big mess when you paint over it, but this will all go away when it's cleared. Because if you notice, when it's wet, I mean, you can see the soap, but you can't see the actual difference in the paint. Science rules. See? And with that, it was time to suit up and spray the clear coat. Admittedly, I'm using more light. Although the actual paint booth itself is pretty bright, since these things are black, it's really hard to see. Now, unfortunately, it was just getting way too hazy in the paint booth with the filter on the fan, so I wanted to try taking it off. And as you can see, as soon as I took it off, pretty much all of the overspray was sucked out. So that filter was blocking all of the airflow. And there we are, a day later. Clear coat is all dry. Everything is done. I will say the clear coat helped a lot. It looks pretty good. Is it still orange peely, as you can see? Yes. Does it still have lots of gunk in some of the body parts? Yes. But it is what it is. At least for now, I'm happy with it. We'll see it once it's on the car. I figured out that the filter was just totally clogging all the airflow through that fan. And so halfway through painting the clear, I did take it off. Not that big of a deal. Pretty much this fan leads out into a little alley that's in between the two buildings, and there's nothing back there. Nothing back there, and it's even blocked off. And so it's kind of like a no man's land. So I'm not spraying overspray out into like the parking lot or anything. Still not ideal. We have to fix that for the next time, but it is what it is. Now, I am gonna let this stuff dry just a little bit longer, and so while we wait, we can start working on getting those projector headlights into the headlights. Projector housings into the projector headlights into the headlight housing. All right, we got the headlights back at the house where I've got an oven. We're gonna pop them in the oven just on the lowest temperature for like 10 minutes, just getting it warm enough to get all this glue to release. I also had to remove the rubber grommets, and sometimes these things have screws holding them together, but this one did not. So hopefully it's nice and easy to release. Hi, baby. Aww. Well, we got the headlights open. Of course, my camera died at home right as I was pulling it out of the oven, but it was really simple. Once these things are warm, this glue is pretty much non-existent. You just pull up some tabs and pry it apart. Obviously, you gotta be careful not to break the lens or anything, but that's it. So now we can get to work on getting the projector in there. So now there's two parts to this. There's the projector housing, and this is just a lens. That's all it is. There's no bulb in here. Now you can get some with a bulb, but this is the cheapest one on Amazon that comes with a chrome housing. If you remember when we did this on the Fit, I got one with a colored housing and then I painted it. I wanted this to be chrome to match the chrome headlights. I want it to be nice and natural, not look like I just plopped the projector lens in there. So that's why we went with this. So a couple things we're gonna do right off the get-go. Cut off the plug for the brights. Pretty much the way this projector works, it will have the HID bulb inside of it, and then it's got a little mechanical block that goes up and down for the brights. Unfortunately on this headlight, we have to do a little bit of custom modification, so we also have to take out the thing that holds the bulb in here. Pretty much the way this works, it's got this big threaded piece that goes into the place where your old bulb used to go into, and then you just kind of screw it in and then place the new bulb in there. And it is labeled, as you can tell, HID, and then you can do up top right there. Now before we put it in, I'm gonna wrap this wire in some heat shrink. The heat shrink's on there. Now we want to go ahead and put the housing on. We have our finished projector ready to install. This thing comes with a little bag of adapters and seals. Now the thing I discovered, I already did the other headlight. The thing I discovered is that for some reason the headlight like housing is really thick on this, and so it barely has any threads to engage. And so I have to kind of just ditch all of the adapters, and essentially I just screwed it in. Not ideal, but if it works, it works, and the other one worked, so it works. You make sure you put it in the right direction. I feed the wires through like the reflector housing. And now this is the biggest, most important part from what I learned on the Fit. You wanna make sure that the projector is level, because projectors have a very crisp line where they cut it off. So if they're not level, that line will be crooked. And that's what happened on the Fit. And once they're in there and the headlights are back and sealed and installed in the car, the only way to realign this projector housing is by taking the headlight out and separating the lens again. So don't want to have to do that. So we're gonna try to make sure that they're nice and horizontal. But pretty much what I did last time was I just tightened it, and obviously as you tighten it, it twists it. And I didn't even think about that, so. I think I got it about as tight as possible. Very nice, very cool. And we still are gonna use the brights too. It's gonna have dual brights, so it's gonna be really bright when you turn the brights on. You could alternatively get another set of the projectors for the brights. That seems a bit excessive. Okay, so now take our HID. I don't know why they didn't design this just to have internal LEDs like the other projector I used for the Fit, but for some reason they didn't. And so you have to use this HID bulb and a ballast and stuff. And it's kind of funny because that's how they get you, because it ends up that this was actually more expensive than the other one that I got for the Fit. But it's because you don't realize that you also need to buy bulbs separately. So stupid. And since I can't fit an adapter in here, because these headlights aren't quite right for this system, I screw it in. So there it is. So screws and washers hold the actual headlight in there, but it works. So I got both the headlights wired in and just installed without the housings. Looks pretty cool even without the housings. Let's see if they work. All right, we got low beams. Oh yeah, very nice. Now we got high beams. Haha. So both, now the halogen bulb and then the projectors turn on, so it's really bright, as you can see. Oh fuck, oh fucking hell, my God, bro. I slipped on a piece of paper and I almost took out the headlight. That's hilarious. But as you can tell, you can kind of see on the E30, it's a very sharp line, cut-off line. Looks very good. All right, so we're ready to put these headlights back together. Two ways you can do this. You can try to remove all the sealant and then add new sealant and put it back together, or you can reuse the sealant. This stuff is just kind of malleable, but you have to reheat it up. And so that's what we're gonna do, because removing all of the sealant is a pain in the ass, and I don't wanna do that. And it will be good enough without that. So pretty much I have to heat it up and put it back together. That is a projector headlight housing for a Honda Accord. I forgot to clean the inside or any of it, but thankfully it wasn't really dirty. Both of the new headlights are in with the projector housings. Looks pretty good. I like it. As you saw, I used the flag to kind of align the beams, and it's pretty good. Won't know 100% until it's actually driving at night, but thankfully I can adjust them pretty easily with just the hood up. And so now we can start reassembling this thing. I'm gonna start with the front bumper. We gotta put the fog lights in and the grille. All right, the bumper is assembled. I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and put this on, and then once this is on the car, we can put the lip on. It's gonna be easier to put the lip on when it's up in the car and whatnot. So first of the pieces is going in. A little nerve-wracking. We got the rear bumper and the rear lip on. Man, this part of the car looks so much better without the big blotch of missing paint. We got the side skirt on. Those are kind of a pain to get on, but that looks pretty good without a hole in it. That's the body put back together. I mean, looks the same in some shots, but looks way better in other shots. We will, of course, pull it out, wash it, and I'll show you guys. But for now, we do have a couple more things. We have those window visors, and then I also have some wrap I'm gonna put on some of the missing parts of this window. And then I have some very special stickers. So we got those window visors from carparts.com installed, and I went ahead and vinyl wrapped some of the chrome parts of the window trim that were coming through. And let's just not talk about that. I really need to do the entire thing instead of just parts, because it looks like I put electrical tape on my window. Now, from the camera from back here, it looks better than what it did when it was chrome, but yeah. So the next thing I'm tackling is wiring up the fog lights. Now, it comes with a, plug and play kit with, honestly, these OEM looking plugs, which makes me think that maybe on some models of Accord, it can literally plug in. Unfortunately, that's not this model. So I have to MAME this and make it work. Pretty much it just needs a switch 12 and some grounds, and it did come with a switch that was supposed to fit in the factory button, and it kind of did, but I had to MAME it yet again to make it fit, but you can't really tell, so that's good, right? It doesn't look like I destroyed that. Almost OEM, different finish, but almost. So now let's do this, eh? I have to somehow cram one more thing through this firewall. In my opinion, the best way to get wires through a grommet in the firewall, take a welding wire. I like aluminum because it's easy to bend. Sharpen the end, stick it through and then tape the wire to whichever side you want and either push it through or pull it through. It works. However, when you've done it 4 times on one grommet, things start to get a bit crowded. Uh-oh, crowded. So I have the wire through. Now I'm gonna go inside and try to pull it. There's the wire. Oh, pull it now backwards. Slowly. Yes! It's always nerve-wracking because you don't know whether you're gonna pull it through or pull it off the tape, but there we go. All right, so now here's the thing, guys. With this video, this build essentially done. There's nothing else I'm gonna do to it unless I end up keeping it and putting a built motor in it, in which case there's a lot of things we're gonna do to it. But right now, build's done. And so with that, I wanted to put the sponsor's stickers on the car. Here's the thing, I'm not a fan of putting a bunch of stickers on your car that are just the stickers that they send you with parts, because they're colored, they're different styles. And so I got a Cricut, which is a vinyl cutting machine. I got some matte black vinyl, and I made stickers for all my sponsors. Tire Streets for the tires, PSR for the turbo, Clutch Masters for the clutch, Corbo for the interior, BC Racing for the coilovers, Vibrant Performance for all of the turbo kit stuff and exhaust stuff, Hybrid Racing, motor mounts, shifter, shifting cables, Koenig for the wheels, EM Industries for my merch, and P2R, Power Rev Racing, for all of the J-Series parts. Now obviously there's other sponsors of the channel, like Eastwood, like carparts.com, but I wouldn't consider those sponsors for the car. They're for the channel, they're for the shop. I made all of these today. It took a couple hours, but I kind of got the hang of it, and honestly, I'm really impressed with the Cricut, and now all of these match. They're all the same vinyl. It's gonna be really sick. In the future, for instance, for like the truck, we could get some like vinyl that is color matched or something and do some really cool stuff. It's a cool thing to have. So we're gonna put all these on the rear window. I love matte black on a window because the window's gloss, sticker's matte black. You don't really see it unless if you're looking for it. Looks nice, looks real nice. And voila, it is done. Definitely a learning experience. I've made some notes on the next time I go to make the stickers and put them on. I think I put them a bit too close together. It's a bit cluttered, but it looks good. I really like it. It's, subtle, especially in some angles, like you don't even notice they're there, which is what I like. Also, I did delete the Honda badge because it was failing. I had a faulty Honda badge. The red one started delaminating and looking ugly. And I also did fix the rust spot down there. Painted it, clear coated it, wet sanded it, and buffed it. It needs a little bit more wet sanding and polishing, but the clear coat is not quite hardened yet. But guys, I haven't driven this thing in over 2 weeks. I've been daily driving the drift truck during the coldest time of the year. It's been fine, but I miss this car so much. I want to drive it so badly. So let's do that. Let's take it out. Let's go downtown Athens. Let's get some cool shots of this thing all prettied up with some cool lighting. But guys, there you have it. You know, it's funny because 2 weeks of work, way more time, way more effort than I expected. And from some angles, you know, the car kind of looks the same. But at the same time, it made such a big difference. This car looks so much better. I don't know if it was worth the 2 weeks of work, but I did also learn a whole lot. I learned a lot about the paint booth, about painting, about all the Eastwood stuff. The next thing we paint, it's gonna turn out much better and it's gonna go much quicker. The main thing is I'm not gonna paint when it's 28 degrees outside. That didn't work. That's why this stuff has orange peel. Also, if I paint another hood, I'm gonna paint it where it's flat and I can lay a little bit more paint on it without it running, not vertical. That was a bad idea. We're gonna be able to right our wrongs very soon because I have another Honda here that clearly needs paint. Now, we won't be painting this thing because it's just gonna be too cold and I'm not dealing with that again, but we're gonna body work it and send it off to paint and do some other stuff. That'll probably be the next video. And then we got stuff for the drift truck. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I do wanna apologize for having this video take so long to come out. Some things were out of my control, like my grandpa passing and the weather, but still, I have been not very consistent recently and I don't like that. I wanna try to fix it. So I'm gonna try my best to get a video out every Sunday. If you do want to support the channel, please check out Patreon or EM Industries where all of my merch is available. We will have some posters of this Accord very soon. I just need to get some rollers with the new setup. Also, hopefully that Jin Blue's gonna review it. And then that's pretty much it. But anyway, huge thank you to carparts.com and Eastwood for making this video possible. If you want car parts for your car, check out carparts.com. And if you want equipment to work on your car, whether that's tools, painting stuff, welding stuff, fabrication stuff, check out Eastwood. I'll have a discount code for that in the description and up in the cards. I think that's it. I'm gonna hop back in the Accord and go home. I'm so excited to have a daily again. Drift truck, I love you, but. And no heat, oh God.